Right now, if the room went completely silent, you would notice within seconds. Not because something is wrong, just because silence feels wrong. You'd probably reach for your phone, or hum something, or ask someone to say literally anything. But why does quiet feel like a problem your body needs to solve? The answer isn't really about sound at all, it's about safety. And your ancestors knew that a long time before you did. For most of human history, silence didn't mean peace. It meant something had stopped. Birds stop singing when a predator is near. Insects go quiet when something large moves through the grass. Forests have a sound, a constant low hum of life. And when that hum disappears, it usually means danger is close. Your ancestors lived inside that pattern for hundreds of thousands of years. Sound meant the world was behaving normally. Silence meant pay attention now. So your brain didn't evolve to enjoy quiet. It evolved to monitor it. Researchers studying auditory threat detection, including work from neuroscientist Nina Kraus at Northwestern University, have shown that your auditory system is wired to flag sudden changes in sound environment as priority information faster than almost any other sense can process a threat. Your hearing doesn't relax in silence, it sharpens. That's the part most people miss. Silence isn't the absence of stimulation. It's a different kind of stimulation, one that says, something changed. Find out what. Think about the last time you were in a quiet house alone at night. You probably didn't feel calm. You felt alert. Your ears strained for any tiny sound, a creak, a hum, anything that would tell your brain the situation was normal again. That reaction isn't anxiety. It's an ancient surveillance system doing exactly what it was built to do. But there's a second layer to this. And it's not about predators at all. It's about other people. Psychologist Namke Codenberg has spent years studying what happens in human conversation the moment a silence lasts longer than 4 seconds. Her research found something so strange. A pause that brief is enough to make people in a group feel less connected, less sure of their place, even slightly rejected. 4 seconds. That's all it takes. Why would your brain care that much about a short pause in talking? Because for most of human history, being part of a group wasn't optional. It was survival. A human alone on the savannah 200,000 years ago didn't last long. No claws, no speed, no ability to fight off a predator solo. Group membership was the actual technology that kept you alive. And the clearest signal that you still belonged to the group was sound, talking, laughing, agreeing, arguing. Noise meant connection. So when conversation stops, even for a few seconds, something old in you reads it as a possible sign of disconnection. Not because you're insecure, because somewhere in your nervous system, silence still gets filed under social risk. This is why awkward silences feel unbearable, even when nothing bad is actually happening. Your conscious mind knows everyone is just thinking. Your older wiring isn't so sure. Here's where it gets more interesting. Not all silence triggers this response. Silence in nature, alone in a forest by the ocean, often feels good, calming even. So clearly it's not the absence of sound itself that your brain dislikes. What your brain is actually tracking is expectation. In a forest, silence is expected. There's no social contract being broken, no group connection at risk. But in a conversation, in a room full of people, in a city, sound is the baseline. Quiet there breaks the pattern. And breaking a pattern is exactly what your threat detection system was built to catch. This idea that the brain constantly predicts what should happen next and reacts strongly when reality doesn't match the prediction comes from what neuroscientists call predictive processing. Carl Friston, one of the most cited researchers in this field, has argued that much of brain activity isn't about reacting to the world. It's about constantly guessing what's coming and flagging anything that doesn't fit. Silence where you expect sound is a mismatch, and your brain treats mismatches like they matter even when they don't. Now think about how this plays out today. You're on a video call and there's a pause after you speak. Your stomach tightens slightly even though nothing happened. You're on a first date and the conversation stalls for a moment. You suddenly feel the need to fill it fast with anything. You walk into your apartment after a long day and the silence feels heavier than it should, so you turn on a show you're not even watching, just for the noise. None of this is really about entertainment. It's regulation. You're using sound the way your ancestors used a fire at night, not for light. For reassurance that the world around you is still safe and you are still connected to it. There's actually a term for this constant low-level need for auditory input. Acoustic ecologists call it the search for a soundscape, an environment that confirms moment to moment that everything is proceeding as expected. Without it, your nervous system doesn't relax into peace, it tips into vigilance. This is also part of why silence is used deliberately as a psychological tool in interrogation rooms, in negotiation tactics, even in therapy. A trained silence after a question creates discomfort strong enough that most people will rush to fill it, often revealing more than they intended to. You are not weak for feeling that pull. You're responding exactly the way a few 100,000 years of evolution trained you to respond. So what do you actually do with this information? You don't need to fight the instinct. You just need to recognize it for what it is, an old alarm system reacting to a modern, mostly harmless moment. The next time a silence stretches a little too long in a meeting, on a call, across a dinner table, notice the urge to fill it. Then pause for one more second before you do. That single second is the gap between an ancient reflex and an actual choice. Because silence was never really the threat was disconnection. And the moment you understand that, quiet stops feeling like danger and starts feeling like exactly what it is. Just the sound of nothing happening, for now. So tonight, when the room goes quiet and your hand drifts toward your phone, pause for a second. You're not uncomfortable because something is wrong. You're uncomfortable because for most of human history, something usually was.